God is leading the church, and so I hope this will be a time to just develop as people, but you use this in your jobs, you use this in your relationships, use this in your family, and definitely use it as you serve and lead the ministries. Let us begin with prayer. God, we're so grateful for this opportunity to gather once again, God, just to reflect and grow and learn and become more faithful leaders, God, as we know you've called us all to be leaders in some shape, form, or fashion, God. So yet it's just discovering and discerning how we can put our gifts to the best use for the sake and upbuilding of your kingdom. So, God, hopefully tonight we will grow and develop, and in the ongoing sessions of Training Tuesday, we will become better and leaders that are pleasing to you. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. 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 So Training Tuesday this week, you go to the next slide. We're going to talk about 4 practices of every impactful leader. 4 practices of every impactful leader. I believe, and this is from a little bit of experience, this is a little bit of reading. If you don't know, the doctoral work I am doing is on leadership, so you may be also helping with that just a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying that, that's the main purpose of this. I'm just saying you may be helping me a little bit. And so there's been a good bit of reading as well. So I believe these 4 practices, if you look across the board, are the 4 practices that make an impactful leader. But I want to begin by hearing your thoughts. Next slide, please. What is the difference between, stay there, a leader and an impactful leader? But before we get there, I want you to see our vision. This is not a promotional moment, but I want to read our vision so that all of you who happen to be a part of Scott United Methodist Church are familiar with this vision, because I hope that you will begin to commit it to memory so that when pastor comes up to you and say, what's the vision of Scott United Methodist? Gail, what's the vision of Scott United Methodist Church?
I'm sorry?
What's the vision of Scott United Methodist Church? See, I don't want you to be like that. I want you to be able to say what the vision, I'm messing with you, but the vision of Scott United Methodist Church is. And so here we are. Can we read it together? Can you everybody see it? We got 2 TVs, one of those. You should be able to see one of those. Can we read it together? Methodist Church seeks to be an intergenerational church, committed to providing holistic ministry that meets. So let's read it on the count of 3 together, because we want to be a church that's doing this together. So if we can't read together, it's kind of hard to actually do this together. So 1, 2, ready, read. Scott United Methodist Church seeks to be an inner church committed to providing holistic ministry that meets the needs of our community. Somebody got tongue-tied of intergenerational, but I ain't going to talk about you. And it may be just as difficult to say it as it is to do it, right? Because what that means is we become a church with multiple age groups, and we're all working together and found a way to be in community with one another. And if you haven't discovered this yet, sometimes it's hard for all of us to sit together at the table in different age groups and reason together. And arguably, one of the key tenets of a good Christian is one that can sit at a table with those they disagree with and still walk away and love each other. Don't believe me? Go to a good family reunion. You'll find out how difficult that is. Next slide. This is one of my statements I stated, and I wholeheartedly believe. If the church is going to be the church that God has called it to be, if it's going to be the church that God has called it to be, making a difference in this world, changing lives, transforming communities, flipping the world upside down, which is what I believe God calls us to do, if the church is going to be that church, it is imperative that the church is full of leaders that are making an impact. I'm going to say that again, just in case somebody didn't hear that. That felt good. If the church is going to be the church that God has called it to be, it is imperative, necessary, vital, non-negotiable, that the church is full of leaders that are making an impact. What I mean by that, that means not churches that have fought for titles and everybody has a title. That's not what I mean. But impactful leaders. Next slide. Here we go. Can you help me out? Can we have some conversation here? What is the difference between a leader and an impactful leader? Let me see if I can get you a mic real quick. I don't want you to have to work too hard like I do on Sundays. Whew. Jackson, is mic A on? Bless you, bless you. Let everybody hear you.
I think the difference.
You got to bring it up a little bit.
I think the difference between a leader and an impactful leader is one that is not afraid to think outside the box to help the situation or bring something out of the box to the table for people to chew on.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. An impactful leader is someone who's not afraid to bring something out of the box that's different for somebody to chew on. Somebody else, we got one here. Here. Yes, ma'am. Doing my exercise at the same time. I ain't make it to the gym today.
So, an
bring it up a little bit.
impactful, then, because we're all kind of leaders in our own right. If we can get anybody to follow us to do anything, that means we have the ability to be leaders. If we get our kids to do what we tell them, if we get friends to come on board and do things, so we all have the ability to be leaders. An impactful leader affects change. You know, if there's no impact based on your leadership, that means you're not impactful because there's got to be some change associated with it.
Wow, that's good. An impactful leader is the one who impacts change. That's good. We get two or three more.
I feel like an impactful leader, you'll see results.
You'll see results. My Lord, you'll see results. Change something out the box. Anyone else? Yeah.
An impactful leader.
They can't hear you.
Okay, an impactful leader to me leaves a lasting impression on, his mentees that, lasts their lifetime.
So an impactful leader leaves an impact on those who are below them that lasts a lifetime. That's really good. Anybody else? We got one more? All right.
An impactful leader is one that has the qualities to listen and has the ability to delegate and put those in a leadership role to do the job that needs to be done.
Wow. Able to listen and then put people in the role to get what needs to be done. These are all great answers. This really isn't a joke. All of you said the correct answer, so it's kind of hard to say which one is right. All of those are impactful leaders, all right? Because someone mentioned results. Somebody talked about actually affecting change, leaving an impact on someone. Thank you, Ms. Lane. She said lasting impressions. Y'all know we have a ministry called Lasting Impressions? Y'all do know that, right? Hospitality ministry. So if you was at the ministry retreat, you know we got a ministry called Lasting Impressions. So that's actually pretty important. Just want to make sure you know that. If you want to sign up for the hospitality ministry, Lasting Impressions, let me know. Also, somebody said doing something different. And I'm going to argue in my own freedom that being an impactful leader is someone, not yet, that produces results. It produces results. It leads to change because change is necessary typically. I've never seen a time change wasn't necessary to produce results. And typically to do change or produce change, you got to do something out of the box because if you don't do something different, I think they said insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different to happen. So you got to do something out of the box to actually affect change, and you got to affect change to actually get some results. And when you have results, you will always leave an impact on the people that are part of whatever you do, or sometimes they weren't even immediately a part of it, but yet years later, you've made an impact. A lot of the historians or historic people we talk about, right? I didn't get to shake Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. hand. That's not probably news to you. You probably can tell that. I didn't get to shake his hand. Sorry, I didn't get to shake Malcolm X's hand either, right? But yet, we're still saying these names because of the impact they had. This Sunday, you heard me finish the sermon talking about Mary McLeod Bethune. I actually didn't get to see her. I never got to shake her hand. But yet, her impact is so major that we still call her name. So all of those answers you said are correct, and I hope these 4 practices Tonight, you'll see through anybody you think of, if you think of an impactful leader in your life, someone who's been very impactful in helping you get where you are. You think somebody who's left an impression on you. Think about somebody you've seen produce results. Hopefully, you'll see that these practices are something that they also use in their daily routine and leadership. Next slide. So here we go. The first practice that I believe is necessary to be an impactful leader is care. Without care, it is very difficult to be an impactful leader. Somebody said, Faretha said that being an impactful leader meant listening to someone. You don't listen unless you first care. The first thing you got to do is care. Quick question for someone. And we have anybody, Sister Kathy, you can't answer this question. Anybody except Sister Kathy can answer this question. What is the difference between the seed and a beautiful plant that you get to see? What's the difference between the two? How does the seed get to this beautiful plant? What's the difference in the journey? And the seed that becomes a beautiful plant and the seed that never becomes anything? Nurtured. You would cheat, wouldn't you? The difference between a seed that becomes this beautiful plant and one that becomes nothing is that somebody cared. Can I get an amen, Sister Kathy? Somebody got to come out right and do the harder work of tilling the ground first, of watering it, pulling out the weeds, then getting some mulch to put out and make it look all nice and stuff. Then take the trash to the garbage can because you leave it there with the plants, it's still ugly. The primary concern, primary practice of the seed becoming this beautiful thing is caring. And if we don't care, we never get to see what this seed could become. And it's the same thing in all of our leadership experiences and leadership spaces. If we don't care, we don't see what it could become. Next slide. Genuine care. I think care has to be genuine. There is a way that people try to pretend. I'm sorry, that is a little smaller. I will tell you what that says. I know there's a way that people try to pretend to care. So it has to be genuine because if it's not genuine, people can tell when it's not genuine. So these are three things I think that goes with genuine care. The first thing is well-being. It's three questions that I believe one should ask in practicing this practice of care. The first thing is, how are you, right? That's the first question. Like, you can't lead anybody and not ask, how am I? You cannot lead anyone and not ask, how are they, right? The first step is caring about how this person is doing, right? What is going on with them? Because the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, we're all humans. And we all have things going on in life that sometimes get us to a place where we just can't do nothing. Well, not that we didn't want to, our energy's depleted, we're stressed, we're stretched, work is crazy, and the question, how are you, allows you to see when you need to step back and actually take a different role. I just need to see how I can support you in this time. How are you is an important question. That the second thing is genuine care. How are you? That's the first question. The second thing is, when you're in leadership, we can't get around this, is how are things going with an accomplished set of goals? Sorry, I don't know how that got typed or what happened, but how are things going with accomplishing set goals or expectations is what that should say. So how are things going with the goals that you have set? Because hopefully you set some goals as a leader, or there's some expectations you've clearly communicated. And how are things going with that? You can't give someone goals or expectations and never come back and see what's going on with them. I mean, I guess you can, but that's quite foolish. And then you come back upset like, I didn't know this had happened. Well, you didn't ask. So I think the second question is, how are things going with that? And that will lead to this here last question that all impactful leaders have to ask. How can I help with those goals? I don't know where it became a thing, but a lot of leaders have this thing of giving, this is what I need you to do, or I want you to do, and they give a list of items, and then there's this expectation that you get these items done, and they feel as if they're so far removed from helping get these things done. I worked at Chick-fil-A, and you hear this all the time. But one thing I loved about, there's 2 Chick-fil-A's I worked at. One was on one side of Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, the other was on the other side. And they were drastically the same company, but the difference was the one owner, if you know anything about lunch hour at Chick-fil-A, it is a time where those who are in the back of the kitchen must pray really hard. At any moment, this could be your last time because the screen just goes crazy because they have green, yellow, red. And the expectation is that you get food out within the green. If they hit the yellow, folks start asking for it. But if they hit the red, you could get fired. And so, but the rush is so serious, it's kind of hard to keep everybody in the green. And the difference between the one I loved and the one I just had a job at was the owner would come and see what's happening. The owner would come see what's happening, and then the owner would come out of his office, come in the kitchen, see the screen full of red, and he would say, y'all about to get fired. Y'all be ashamed of yourself. The chicken's not ready. There ain't no sandwiches. The fries ain't hot. What's going on? That's not what he did. He came out. He said, guys, man, we need to catch up. We really got to get back in the green. How can I help? What can I do? It would shift the entire environment of that kitchen. We all panicking, all rushing, all scared because it's red everywhere. But by him coming to ask what he can do, and of course we would say, oh, we got it. He'd say, no, what can I do? You clearly don't have it. And he would grab some buns and start rolling them, or he'll start making some sandwiches. Whatever we needed him to do, he would do it. And that was super important to why a lot of people stated that. I have a friend that graduated high school with me who's still working there. And he's in a leadership position, but he stayed there because of that experience. So care is important. Any questions before we go to the next one? Any thoughts? I don't know where the mic went, but. Okay, any thoughts about care? We good? All right, next slide. So care is the first one. The second one, I believe, is curiosity. Care is the first practice. Practice number 2 is curiosity. I know everybody's watching Justice. Let me let everybody watch the Justice show. Curiosity, I believe, is and care kind of bounce off each other, right? You can't really have one without the other, is what I really believe. Because if I care about you, and then let's just say I ask question number 1, which is what from care? What's question number 1 of care? How are you? And you say, I've been better. Imagine somebody asks you that, you say, I've been better, and then they say, we're glad to hear that, you have a good day. Did you? All right, thank you. And people do that because they only ask that question because they just felt like it was the right thing. But the next step is curiosity, because curiosity will lead you to say, well, would you like to talk about it? What's going on? What would make today better? What would make you better? Next slide. I think we need a childlike curiosity. I'm going to tell you, I found out a lot of things about Scott United Methodist Church. I found out a lot of things about Scott United Methodist Church, how a lot of things work. I found out some things that weren't working. But can I tell you how I found out about these things? Nope. I was chasing Justice around. And Justice went to something, curious about it, trying to figure out why it's doing a certain thing. And I say, boy, that's going to hurt you, or this going to do that. And then it doesn't do it. I'm like, oh. Well, thank you, Justice. I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's not working like I expected it to. But that childlike curiosity is always exploring, always trying to see what's happening, what's possible. That curiosity is necessary for leaders that desire to make an impact. You got to be curious. The difference between those in COVID that made a quick transition and those who didn't were those who were curious, right? They went on to Google, what other ways can we do this? They were just crazy enough to go type it in on Google and find out, how can I get my service on the internet? And then they got a whole bunch of answers. How can we make sure that choir is heard online? I mean, sounds crazy, right? But that's literally what people did. Nobody knew Zoom exists until one person typed it in Google, made a Facebook post and said, look, we can use Zoom. I'm guessing that's how it worked. But nevertheless, everybody then said, you know what, I need Zoom. First up, being a childlike curiosity is being inquisitive. That's the given. But what I mean by inquisitive is this. The best leaders are never satisfied with what they know. The best leaders are never satisfied with what they know. They never get to the place where they say, I already know everything about a given subject or thing. The best leaders are always saying, I don't know, I really need to get better. No, you're already good. No, I got a lot to work on. You looking at them like, if you work on anything else, baby, I don't know if you're going to be able to, we can't even pay you no more. Don't work on nothing else. You might take the price up. This is all we got. But yet the best leaders keep improving. They keep trying to find out how to do things better. That's necessary. The second thing is childlike curiosity is, I believe, innovation is born within curiosity. It's born out of that curiosity. Because innovation is born out of an interrogative nature that is always asking, how can we? Innovation is born out of an interrogative nature. That's like intergenerational. That is always asking, how can we? Can I tell you the greatest difference between leaders and impactful leaders? Now, y'all can't get mad at this. And remember, y'all had good, nice potatoes. They were real nice and tasty, so you can't get mad at me. At least you had a good dinner. Look at this. The difference between leaders and impactful leaders is that leaders come to the meeting and just simply say what we cannot do. Every idea that comes out, we can't do it. Yeah, we ain't got an insurance policy for that. We ain't got enough money for that. Oh, we ain't got enough people for that. Nah, we're not ready for that. Not on this side of town. Nah, we can't do that. I don't know about using our parking lot for that. We can't do that. That's leaders. They got the power to say no, so they just, everything we can't do. Impactful leaders are always asking, well, how can we do that? Yeah, it's different and it's difficult because of the amount of money we got, but how can we use what we have and maybe find something else somewhere else, put something together? How can we make it possible? Yeah, we ain't got enough people here, but shoot, it's 15 churches on this one street. Surely we can find 2 more to partner with us and we'll have enough to do it. Yeah, we ain't got the insurance policy right now, but let's see how much it costs to upgrade the policy so we can do this in a safe way. Impactful leaders are not always trying to say we cannot. They always begin with, how can we? Or we can if. In other words, they come with a solution, some sense of optimism of what can be, which is born out of curiosity, asking a question of how can we? Last thing about childlike curiosity is it requires great faith. Childlike curiosity requires great faith. And ain't it funny that the older we get and the more we fall in love with Christ, the less curious we are? For some reason, the older we get, the less we want to learn something new. I'm good. It's been working for me. I've done this all. Y'all go ahead. I'm good. Ain't it funny how quickly you get in a routine and somebody say there's a better way? You say, nah, I bet it don't work like the way I've been doing it. Have you tried it? Nope, don't need to. Mine ain't working. Mine's fine, and they broke. But curiosity requires one to believe all that is not all that can be. Curiosity requires one to believe all that is not all that can be. The reason why Justice takes my phone and find out new ways to work it, because he believed that somehow I can do something else with this button besides just press it. So he starts grabbing it and he starts throwing it to the side, and I just found out I can change my home screen to 3 different home screens. Did y'all know that? I didn't know that. I got one person that knew it. See, y'all laughing at me, but I was like, wow, this is amazing. Thank you, Justice. Don't do it again, but thank you. Because he believed there was something else that was possible. And as a child, you always believed something was possible. Mama said no. Well, Mama, if I do this, can't I do that? That's because you believe something was possible. No, you can't do this. You might get hurt. Well, Mama, actually, if I put on this and do that, I won't get hurt. Can I go now? Because you believe somewhere, somehow, it was possible. And I think it's necessary that the church has leaders who are always believing that God can actually do something. Not what God did yesterday, but God actually can do something different that we have never imagined. And it's a scary day when the church, the folks who say they know the Lord, the folks who say they've had a relationship, they don't walk with Jesus, they don't talk with Jesus, begins to get to the place where they no longer believe that God can do anything new. That's a scary day. Next slide. Next one. Here's the third practice, I believe, of impactful leaders. Coaching. Anybody in here love sports? Pat, I know you do. Pat, who's your favorite athlete? Oh, Lord. All right, basketball. Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they just had, who was their coach? Mike Budenholzer, something like that. Giannis is, how good do y'all think Giannis is? Giannis is pretty good, right? He's a pretty skilled athlete. I mean, to be that big and move that, well, he's pretty agile. He can get to the basket. Pretty solid athlete. I mean, his coach ain't that tall. His coach ain't that fast. And his coach ain't playing in the NBA right now. So why is it that Giannis has him as a coach? If Giannis is so great and technically a better athlete than the coach, what is the role of the coach? How did you make it to the NBA? By the time he got to the NBA, he was pretty good. Skinny, but getting some buckets. Okay. Weren't that developed, but he was good enough to make it to the NBA. Right? Okay. Okay. LeBron, who has the scoring record now, right? Can you imagine coaching LeBron? Like, even if you don't agree he's the greatest athlete, everybody else do. The difference, and what I believe that makes a coach great, and what I mean by coaching is, the reason why Giannis is able to have a coach that may not be as gifted as him at this point in his life at least, and may not be able to ball like him ever in his life, is because he is able to pull out a Giannis what is already there. Giannis was a solid athlete already. Like you said, what the coach said, he was able to look at things from an outside view, suggest some things, but he never tried to make Giannis become something Giannis wasn't. He pulled out of Giannis what was already there. That's what good leaders do. They identify where your gifts are, your strengths are, and they don't try to go get you to be this great person in your weakness. If you said technology ain't your thing, it don't make much sense for me to say, can you run the social media for the church? I mean, we can try that, but we're going to be waiting a while for a post if we still have a social media site when you finish. Coaching is able to pull out the best. Can you go to the next slide? These are 3 things I think that are important of coaching. These are things I think great coaches do. I said co-active coaching. If you look at executive coaching, and coaching is a new craft and skill set. If you've paid attention, there are people who now have careers as coaches. They're career coaches, executive coaching, leadership coaching. Go back, please. There's all kind of coaching now. I don't know where that kind of birthed, but it became a new thing, and it's still growing. Some people don't think they need a coach, believe it or not. Definitely those who are in like high executive positions, they don't believe they need a coach. But great leaders, like I said, never are satisfied with what they know. And so they go get a coach. So co-active coaching is working with someone. It's the idea that I'm not telling you what to do, but we're working together to pull out of you what is already there. So it's more of a conversational style of coaching. So coaching in its truest aspect is never telling anybody what to do. It's not coming and saying, listen, now, this is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z, and you'll be here, blah, blah, blah. That's not what coaching is. Coaching is asking questions, being curious, caring for a person, pushing them to go a little farther, helping them think through things. It's an exercise where you're going back and forth. And so you say, well, have you thought about this? What about trying this? And they can say no. Coaching, they can actually say no. Leaders don't like to hear that. But people can actually tell you no. It's okay. And the co-active coaching respects that no and says, okay, well, tell me what you're thinking. The first thing is inspire. For co-active coaching, I think the first thing is to inspire. And the best inspiration is exposure. The best inspiration is exposure. Don't y'all go tweet that. I'm doing that first, and then y'all can share it. I don't know how many of you had this experience, but Shay and I often have conversations reflecting on how good God has been and how we've made it to where we are in life and different seasons and shifts in our life. And one of the things that she and I both have identified that really has played a vital role were some of the summer camps that our parents paid for us to go to. They sent us to these different summer camps, and the summer camps would include field trips to places like some Huntsville Science Center. We would go see different things in museums. We got to see a whole bunch of stuff. My mama sent me to a couple of summer camps, but another thing my mom was good on doing is sending me to churches. Go figure. I went to probably every denominational church because I had uncles that were pastors. So I was in church 4 to 5 times a week since I was 12. It was just life for me. So I was exposed to so many different things that as I got older, that's why I started thinking about church and thinking about what could be different. And that's how I experienced a call, because that's where I spent most of my time. And it inspired me to believe that it was possible. And so inspiration, I think the best inspiration is exposure, showing someone something they've never seen before, they never thought about before, a new idea. It's basically exposing them to something that's different. Exposure has the greatest impact to a person. It can have the greatest devastation or greatest negative impact as well, but it also has the greatest positive impact. You know, think about the child who's exposed to something they shouldn't have been exposed to at a young age. And we all know how they got exposed at an early age, and then they become curious, and then they begin to get involved in things that you didn't expect them to get involved in because they were exposed. So exposure has a powerful amount of potential in our lives. The second thing is encourage. And I don't know if I really need to harp on this, but you can never underestimate the power of a cheerleader. Never underestimate the power of a cheerleader. You never know what one person coming up to you saying, man, you the best liturgist I ever seen, man. You did something to my soul. When I heard you get up there, I don't know, I felt like the Spirit of the Lord had touched me. And somebody who never believed they could be the liturgist says, maybe I can do this. The person who goes to school is about to quit seminary. Fun fact, I almost quit seminary. That thing was a different beast. Sierra, I'm telling you now, it's a different beast. First semester, I went to classes. It wasn't like Sunday school. No. You know, Sunday school, I love my teacher. You can get the wrong answer. He'll turn it around and make it sound right. Hey, I mean, who was it that was fighting Goliath? Saul. Yeah, you're right. Saul is the one who was standing there with David, and then that's why you're right. It was Saul and David. That's good job, baby. And that's how Sunday school works. You can't say the wrong answer in Sunday school. Seminary, there's a right answer, and there's indeed a wrong answer. And for some reason, my professor didn't like Saul's answer. Saul is not going to cut it in seminary. You got to know something a little bit more than just Saul. Maybe he was there somewhere around David. That don't work in seminary. They a little more intense. But seminary, my journey was interesting. Some people immediately around me that had been closest to me didn't understand seminary because seminary is a very rare route. Very few people go to seminary in this day and time. Actually, seminaries are now talking about how they're struggling having the amount of people that they used to have. Like, people just not flocking to seminary. Hence why pastors are not going full time like they used to, right? Seminary is a lot of debt and you don't make a lot of money. Remember that. A lot of debt, you don't make a lot of money. Whew, that's important information. So people don't go there as often. And fun fact, since it's our anniversary, I happen to meet, Lord have mercy. Go back to share and put it on the full screen. Share in the top right corner. Go up, down, right there. Yep, down, present. Yep, and yep, present. There we go. Good job. So I was talking to Shay about my journey. I was wrestling with if I really was called to ministry because I was struggling in my classes in seminary. I really didn't even know my path. I was not familiar with United Methodist Church at that time. I really just got my feet wet in that. I grew up Baptist where nobody went to seminary that often. And so I was like, what is this path going to look like? And I was just really about to just throw in the towel. And Shay was like, well, I don't know much about seminary. But when you come and talk about your classes, man, you so passionate that I know you're going to be good at it. I don't know what you be talking about, but it sounds so good because, like, I be feeling like I actually feel something. Like, I don't know what is going on, but you really can talk about that thing. I was like, what you mean? She's like, I don't know, you moved me when you talk. I was like, oh, you lying, but I like that. Like that. You know what? You keep saying that, I'm going to try one more semester, you know? All right, I'm going to do this thing one more time. But seriously, it was that encouragement that allowed me to really stay there and like, okay, somebody's seeing something, and then it began to come all together towards the end, like, I'm getting this. And I realize it's a journey, but one cheerleader, like think about one child you come across and you say one positive thing, they could have been feeling like they were nothing, and just that quick, that one, I see your hand, one sentence, one comment changes the trajectory of their life because one person cared, was curious enough to see what's going on and to say, hey, listen, baby, don't worry about what's going on. You are smart, you are kind. I just want to make sure y'all was listening. That goes a long way. Can you pass it that mic? They can't hear you.
Cheerleaders will encourage you just like they do in sports, whether you're winning or losing.
Exactly.
And I know because I had cheerleaders.
I was about to say, I mean, since I've been here, I finally decided what my NBA team was going to be because me and my best friend would fight about that because he's a Lakers fan, and that's because he has family from LA. And I was like, well, I ain't got no, I'm from Alabama. Ain't nobody in Alabama. There ain't no sports team. Not in basketball. I don't really know what to do or whatever. So, and I wasn't going to become a Wizards fan just because, that wasn't the Lord talking. Yeah. But then I became a Pacers fan. I'm like, I love these Pacers. This feels good to go to the game. Like, I love the environment. I'm going to be a Pacers fan. But the only way I make it out of some of these Pacers games is because of the cheerleaders. Because, whew. Lord, the last game I went to, they came all the way back. I said, we about to win this game, and I don't know what happened. But them cheerleaders like, go! Oh! Like, you know what? I'm going to walk out of here a proud man. We all right. We almost won it. Don't worry about it. We good. But that's what a good cheerleader can do. Hey, sometimes almost is good. It's progress. Gracious. I don't know how to encourage the folks. The last thing about the coaching is you're looking to develop. And definitely my ministry leaders, I hope you hear this. The goal isn't to tell people what to do. It isn't to make them do what you want them or need them to do. It's how can you develop them and develop the skills set and gifts God has already given them. How can you bring the best out in someone? That's super important. How can we bring the best out in someone? The choir, what if the goal was every person up there, we made sure that we got their voice, we brought the best out of their voice, Mark. I'm talking about, well, they may not ever sound like, well, we can't talk about her right now. She forgot the lyrics. Jennifer Hudson. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. I ain't say no names. What if they may never sound like Jennifer Hudson, but what if we had the best Ethel McCain that Ethel McCain could be? Listen, that's all you need, because the only thing that makes Jennifer Hudson and Ethel McCain different is they got different names. But you bring the best out of them, you get the same feeling. Yes, Lord, hallelujah. You don't believe me? Let her sing Hold Out one good time. You be like, you know what? I believe I can hold out. Yes, Lord, I can hold out now. Yes, Lord, that's it. That's what happens when you bring the best out of people. And although nobody else may have seen what everybody else sees, all of a sudden everybody now says, oh, they're so great. They're amazing because somebody brought out the best in them. Do you know the difference between a Chick-fil-A employee and a McDonald's employee? I've said this before. Huh? It is encouragement. She said the uniform. Well, I guess you're right there. Chick-fil-A brings the best out of anybody who comes through those doors. They have a training system. Literally, take a McDonald's employee, put them in Chick-fil-A, and they still gonna give you the same thing at Chick-fil-A. Don't believe me? Just watch it. Take the McDonald's employee, put them in Chick-fil-A, they still gonna, my pleasure. You still gonna get the same quality chicken. It ain't gonna be raw. I promise, it won't be raw. The fries still gonna be hot. Now, don't listen to what they saying in the kitchen. They might sound like they work at McDonald's. That's a little different. But the quality you experience is the same because they bring out the best in you. They believe in you in some shape, form, or fashion in a way that they say, hey, you'll fit here, you'll be fine, as long as you can follow these directions. They bring out the best in people, and really, when you bring out the best in people, it's what enables transformation. It's what enables you to see someone who you really never recognized, and now you say, man, that's a powerful voice. That's a powerful person. That's a great leader. It's about someone who pours into somebody, and like I didn't realize the power of this until one of my own personal coaches, mentors. I call him my father in ministry, who does a really good job of somehow seeing something in me all the time. Now, that's a whole nother art. But he can see something, and he's always trying to believe that I can do something next. Maybe I haven't even tapped into the gift, but he sees what I can do and says, look, you're already doing this in this way. Look at how you do it at your house. Look at how you do it when you're around you already got this skill set. Have you considered this? No, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Well, just consider it. And then, that's how they get you. You foolish enough to go consider it. And you try it. And then the next thing you know, you're like, I can actually do this. And that's a really important tool of impactful leaders in your teams, and the people you're serving, looking to see how can I bring out the best in them? How can I actually empower them? Next slide. Here's the last thing you already got a snippet of. This is the fourth practice I believe in impactful leaders: accountability. If I was to say the top two that are missing from most leaders, I would argue that it's curiosity and accountability. Typically, leaders care, because even if they don't care fully about the person, they care that they don't lose their job or something goes well or they don't look bad. Care is there. It may not always be the most genuine care, but it's not as absent as curiosity. And it's not as absent as coaching. Accountability is the work of making sure that things align with the mission, align with the vision, and align with what people said they would do. It's nothing worse than somebody telling you that they would do something for you. You ever had somebody say, yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of it? A lot is dependent on it. You trust they're going to take care of it. You come behind, expecting it to be done, you moving like it's been done, and then you like, snap, what? Oh, God. Yeah, don't have testimony time now. Right, you had somebody go down there, pay this light bill. That's all you ask them to do, pay the light bill. Listen, it got to be paid by 3 o'clock. I'm gonna be in the dark. I got you, don't worry, I can do that. You get home at 3:05. Lord, I found my cell phone. Did you? No, I sure enough forgot to go by. I'm so sorry, I'll go by tomorrow. Well, I'm in the dark tonight. Accountability is important. Next slide. These are 3 things I think are important. I think it has to be relational accountability. There's some people who may disagree, even some here who may disagree with me. Arguably, my mama might disagree with me on this. I believe that it's necessary to build relationship before trying to hold someone to some accountability or standard. I'll use an example. My godmother, who is going on now, it was in this age, I don't know if you remember the age where sagging became really, really, really big. It was like everybody, like I remember trying to be cool in like junior high. And my mama didn't buy me clothes to sag. They was already a little too tight, actually. There wasn't no thing like sagging gonna happen with me. But I remember getting to the place where, because it was so cool, I would get my pants and try to wiggle them down so they could be down a little low so I can walk around. And it wasn't really sagging because they were stuck there. I mean, they wasn't moving nowhere. So when you got to pull them up, you had to, it was because I couldn't really. Yeah, I didn't have no big pants. But that was a big deal. And my godmother had this thing of going to people. And she realized, like, a lot of people go to you and tell you pull your pants up. Older people did that a lot of times. Hey, pull your pants up. Yeah, right. All right, good. You try that. But she had this different approach that my mama found amazing. A lot of people did. She would go up and start a conversation with people. Hey, how you doing? Young man, do you know that you are a powerful man of God? Man, do you know that God is really going to do something in life? I don't know what it is, but God is going to do something. You're going to do some major things. You are a king. I mean, she would do all this, and they all, thank you so much, God. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. They all happy because they ain't heard this much affirmation in their life. And you are somebody. And then she'll go, can I buy you some pants or anything? You don't have to hold your pants down that low. You are a king. And for some reason, even if it was just to get around the block, They will pull their pants up in that moment, say, yes, ma'am, you're right. Get around the corner. They might fall back down. They be fine. But because of the relationship she built with them, in that moment, they pulled their pants up. And I think that's necessary. Like when we see kids or young people who we care so much, we want to go tell them what they need to do so they can be successful. You can't really tell me what I need to do to be successful so you know what's going on. The first thing I went through was care. If you ain't asked how I'm doing, you can't really tell me what I need to go do. You don't know my life. Right? You don't know what happened last night, right? To tell me that I need to make sure I bring a pencil to school and always have my correct uniform, but yet I'm in a different household every night and don't have the uniform. You can't hold me accountable and you don't know that. And a lot of time we jump to accountability and skip relationship. And first thing I think under personhood, the reason I say personhood, you need to see the personhood of someone. Not what you want them to do, what you believe they should be doing. You need to first look at them and see them as a human. I'm going to try not to preach here, but the Imago Dei, right? Seeing God in everybody you see despite how they look, what they talk like, if they do something that don't make you happy. We need to get to the place where we can still see God inside of them. And if you see God inside of them, you'll automatically be drawn to a relationship first because don't we want to have a relationship with God? So the first step would be a relationship because I know you don't start praying and telling God what to do first. God, you need to go ahead and heal them real quick. Now, listen, I'm not playing with you. If they're not healed by 3 p.m., me and I are going to have some problems. Is that how you start your prayer? If so, listen, don't you pray for me. No, baby. Some things I play with, but that is, you just leave me out your prayer. I'm good. Right? There's a relationship, there's a, Lord, here I am. This is how I am today. God, thank you, God, for this, for walking with me. There's a relationship piece that leads to whatever it is you may petition God for. Relationship always accompanies a healthy system of accountability. Ministry leaders, if you have a team that you're leading and you don't know them and what's going on in their life, I'm going to give you a real quick nugget. You ain't going to lead them. Nope, it ain't going to work. I can promise you, if you don't know what's going on in their life and you don't have enough conversation with them and they don't consider you as someone they have a relationship with, just hang your hat. You won't be able to lead anybody anywhere. I mean, it's just a sad truth. I learned this from a failure of mine. I don't have a problem sharing. Shay probably would laugh at this and tell you, one of my first churches, predominantly white church, it was my first church, 2018. I went in, I'm the pastor. They gave me this title, pastor. If you think I'm young now, Lord have mercy. I hadn't even had the birthday yet. I was 22. And you the pastor, the senior pastor of this church. Go, hey man, we expecting you to go and do great things. Yes, I'm the pastor. Yes, Lord, all right. Here I am. I went to my first leadership meeting. Listen, son, this is what you're going to do. Bob, you need to do this. John, we need this done. We need this done by this date. I need you to call me when it gets done. They was like, okay. I came 2 weeks later, like, what's going on? They was like, well, you had all the answers. We just thought you could handle it. You came in telling us everything we need to do. You should know what you needed to do. I was like, man, this is difficult. And I went a year and some change of discovering leadership begins with relationship. And change happens at the speed of trust. Very quick lesson. Didn't take long at all. Because nobody's going to follow you if they don't trust you, and they don't trust you if they don't have a relationship with you. At that point, you just talking. You can have any title you want. You just talking. So we have to have a relationship. The second thing is accountability should be mission-centric. Sorry, before I go there, Sister Rita, you had something. Sorry.
That just reminded me of
They ain't going to be able to hear you, you know.
What you were saying about relationships just kind of took me back to an administrator that I had, and he always pressed the point of how important relationships were. And what he used to say, students will not care until they know you care. And that was a personal experience that I had with students, and it just carries over through life.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that because I have a couple of mentors who are educators, and they struggled, ironically, to remain employed. But they were the greatest educators. The reason why they struggled to remain employed because a lot of people in leadership could not see the value of relationships. And these administrators were so good with just talking. They didn't just start fussing at a child because you kicked them out the classroom. What's going on? You had a good dinner last night? And questions like that, you find out, no, not for real. What you mean, what you had? Ramen noodles. Oh, you hungry. That's why you sitting here acting like that. You hungry. All right, what you need something to eat? Yeah, and he would get a Burger King. You get a child a triple whopper, I'm a living witness. Listen, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Want me to sit down? Yeah, all right, got you. Can I get a triple whopper tomorrow? But for real, that's how it works. Without a relationship, they push back, and so it was a big deal. Mission-centric, accountability has to be mission-centric. And what you see up there, and this is really important, that mainly in the church, where we have this problem the most, it's never about how you feel. Sorry, I had to say that with my chest. It's never about how you feel, but rather how the vision, mission, and goals are being progressed. If I have a conversation with you and we talk about, hey, you didn't follow up on this or you didn't do this, we shouldn't go into how I feel about you don't never do what I think you should do. You always late doing when I ask you to do something. I feel like you really don't need to be doing this because you clearly ain't got them kind of skill set. How you feel does not matter. And impactful leaders never move to their feelings. In fact, they will delay a meeting with you so they can process their feelings, so they can have a conversation about what really matters, which is the mission. How you feel is not what's important. What are we trying to accomplish? And what is preventing that from being accomplished? So when you're a leader, you have conversations that are centered around, hey, we're trying to meet this goal. We said that we were going to try to go contact 50 people, give 50 people a call. We split it up, in tens, and, you were responsible for this 10. But we discovered that you haven't called this 10. Is there any way we can help you make these calls? Because our goal is to call 50 people and let them know what's happening next Sunday. This has nothing to do with my feelings. Now, when I get off the phone, don't worry about what I say and think. I don't know what might happen. But in the context of accountability and holding each other accountable, the conversation should always be mission-centric or around the vision or our goals, not about how you feel. And I learned this from this company I worked with in the environment. They're really good. They were really good with bringing up what you didn't do as a part of their goals. So they would go to their mission and say, hey, we're trying to achieve such and such and such. What's going on? We noticed you weren't doing this part, which is preventing us from reaching this goal here. And it was never a hostile conversation. I mean, I was always scared I was going to lose my job. But nevertheless, it wasn't a hostile conversation. And it really motivated me because it felt like somebody cared about me to talk to me as a human, even though I didn't do my part or I fell short. And here's the last thing for tonight. Clarity must always be a part of accountability. You can't hold someone accountable for something you haven't communicated. There can be no accountability without first the presence of clear expectations. One of the things I used to wrestle with, church is usually ran by volunteers. If you didn't know that, fun fact, here it goes. Majority of the people that work so hard in the church are volunteers. And the leadership team might be the first to raise their hand. If anybody been on the administrative board, on church council, finance trustee, they're going to tell you, listen, all that sweating I did, had to go out of here, smelled a little funky, I didn't even get paid for that. I don't know if y'all saw the annex building. Allison, how much you got paid for cleaning up that room over there? I apologize for that. We're going to keep you in our prayers. But it was a bad room to clean out. Showed up here. It took multiple weeks coming to clean that room out and don't get paid. What if I came and said, Allison, why isn't that room painted? You know, it's supposed to have been painted blue with some new seating for the kids, and you said you've been doing that and been going over there to the room. What's going on? That's exactly what happened. Somebody's mad and they leave, but you're mad too. Why? Because you really wanted that room to be painted blue with new stuff in there for the kids or whatever, but you never communicated clear expectations. Clear expectations causes chaos. It causes very bad accountability because you can't hold anybody accountable because y'all just going around in circles about how you feel. And so you have to have this clear communication and clarity about what is expected as an impactful leader. So I hope that helps. I think those are 4 practices, impactful leaders. I hope Scott is also full of impactful leaders because I really believe if the church is going to be who God has called it to be, it's going to be full of leaders that make an impact. And that requires us having leaders who lead with care. You got to lead from that place where you care about the people, you care about the mission, you care about the church. A lot of people who've served in this church and been on the leadership team for a long time will tell you how much this church means to me. When I first got here, I had meetings with everybody, asked questions about the church, and one of the questions was, why do you still go to Scott? I remember a couple people like Pamela Coleman Tutt said, because it's my church, I ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody running me away. You can't run me away. You gonna run away before I run away. Got you. Yes, ma'am. Understood. But because she cares that much, it also shows up in the way she leads. So she'll end up on that door at any given Sunday if somebody can't be there because this is my church. I ain't going nowhere. You can't run me away, and you gonna run away before I run away. That's what it produces. Curiosity, right? That's how we become better, right? Innovation. Since we've been here, we've done a lot of things with technology, and Sierra probably tell you real quick, we didn't get it right the first time and the second time, and Jackson in the back might say we didn't get it right the last time. But through our curiosity, ask the question, well, how can we make this better? What do we need to do to get this mic to sound like this? This is the first time I got to use a lapel mic for the entire time I spoke, and it ain't made no... Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but listen, I'm putting my hands together because you asked the question. And then after you have this care, you have curiosity, oh Lord, then you have coaching, the ability to pull out of people what's already there. But it starts with seeing the God in them, seeing what God has already deposited in them, listen to their stories, asking questions about what they've done, asking about their past, right? Our church has a lot of retired people, but 10 times out of 10, if they've been a teacher, they might can lead some class in Vacation Bible School. I don't know. I mean, it just makes sense to me. If they taught for a lifetime, they might be able to teach. I don't know. Maybe they were accountant, maybe they might know something about money and budgets. I don't know. I mean, it might be a good question to ask, but then you're able to you lean on those who have these strengths, and they can see those strengths in others and pull it out. And then lastly, accountability. We, as leaders, we have to make sure when people say they're going to do something, that we help them remember the goals we set in accomplishing them, but remember it all begins with relationship. Any comments, thoughts? Absolutely. I'm glad I was able to say something worthwhile. Only thing is I can't take credit for that. Somebody else say that, but I don't know who it was. But yes, change does happen at the speed of trust, and I think that's really important to remember. And that goes back to relationship piece. You build a relationship piece, people can understand you better, and they respond differently. Any other thoughts? That's really good. Amen. We've all fallen short of the glory of the Lord. You have something, Raquel? Oh, anybody else? You have something? Yeah.
All right, so my comment is towards the missing.
Hold on. Is it on? Hey.
Yeah, I can hear myself. Can you guys hear me? Hello. Okay, so my comment is for the mission-centric. Like, I appreciate everything you said. I would say that, because it says it's never about how you feel, I think it's important to acknowledge how you feel, but I wouldn't get stuck there. Because when you're talking about the relational piece and going back to care and curiosity, if someone is feeling a certain way about a mission or something that they're doing and it's affecting how they are showing up in that, I think it's important to acknowledge that and address it, but don't let that be the ending. So acknowledge, but continue to move forward with the goal in mind.
Right.
So not never about how you feel, but let's acknowledge it. I appreciate you bringing it to me. How can we get to the next step?
Yeah, that's good. And I think that's a great point. Your feelings always matter, so thank you for definitely correcting that. And that, they're part of you. What I mean by that accountability is typically, someone doesn't do anything and I need to come speak to them about what they did not accomplish or, how they may accomplish in a way that wasn't the way we agreed upon. Then you don't want to begin with, I'm just tired of you, right? That's a feeling, right? You're tired of them, but who cares, right? You tired of them does not help us accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. You can't stand the way I do something doesn't help us accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. You just so tired of everybody saying they're going to do stuff and they'll never do it. I mean, we get it, thank you. But we're not accomplishing anything by that, right? But if you say, hey, I really want us to continue, being a church that's providing holistic ministry so we can meet the needs of our community, and by not doing what we agreed upon, we're not able to do that. That conversation goes differently because this is something we all are here for, right? If you ask Scott and you're not here to provide holistic ministry that meets needs of the community, then you that don't make sense. That's our vision statement. So. I did say that, didn't I? Didn't I say that? Go ahead. We'll get 2 more comments so everyone can go.
Thank you. I would like to just add on to what Sierra said, because sometimes, when you talk about how the people feel and, they might give you a response, but usually what I say to people is, and it can be awkward, I'd say, thanks for sharing. And then that kind of gives you a key if they're going to keep going with it or, maybe you've had enough. But you've always said, thanks for sharing that with me. And I really liked this session here. I didn't really know what to expect today, but I'm getting it about the leader and the impactful leader. And what I'm seeing from that, and I've got my own notes here, so I got to read my own writing here. So building the relationships is very important, to build relationships. Then also, if you're going to be a leader, you got to lead the change. You got to be the person who helps to lead that change. So if you want other people to change or do something, you just really got to be able to lead, is what I'm getting from that. And developing others. So when you talked about the coaching part with Giannis and all this, I'm thinking, where's he going with that? But it really makes sense that the coach person is there to, to help develop you. And then the last thing about creating accountability, that is a really good point too. And a lot of times you don't know what your responsibility is. But if you are, wait a minute, my notes are over here. I'm sorry, you guys. Clarity, to be able to hold people, say, okay, here's what I'm responsible for, here's what you're responsible for, it's clear, then that accountability helps. So I'm the person that says integrity matters, and I know that kind of helps for everybody in here. So in a lot of ways, this is a really good group, and I'm glad we're able here to come to talk together. So what I'm getting from it is leader and an impactful leader. Okay.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Time is well spent, and just as I said, it's time to go. But I appreciate you all coming out tonight. I hope tonight was helpful, thought-provoking, allows you to kind of see in your own right and the way you lead in the church how you can be even more impactful than you already are. This is not a space where I believe we come because we're not leaders or we're not impactful leaders. As I said, I think this is where the best become better. And one thing about leaders is they always looking for more. They're never satisfied with where they are. And so hopefully we leave with that kind of hunger to continue growing and develop in our own rights as leaders. Can we close in prayer? God, thank you for these many impactful leaders that came on tonight, God, to explore what it meant to be an impactful leader, to think critically of how that applies to them and where perhaps they can strengthen some of their tool sets, or perhaps shift gears, or perhaps continue doing what they're already doing. God, you know what that is and where we are in our own journeys, God, but may we become more impactful leaders, God, so that we can be conduits of your love, your grace and mercy in the world, God, so that others may experience your love through us. May we be impactful leaders, God, that when we take up space in the world, people know we are standing in your power, God, standing with your spirit, God, and they recognize that we are here to make a difference. After all, it is what we're called to do as United Methodists is to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. So as these many leaders gather here, may we leave and go forth using what we learned so that we can continue to transform the world. We love you and we praise you in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.